I'm your host, TaSheena Braxton, and I am on a mission to disrupt the industry standard that fancy titles make leaders and teaching my clients how to become leaders and get their own seats at the table. Every week, I will explore a topic that impacts women of color. I will unpack the topic and provide learning so that you can feel equipped to step into leadership. I went from laid off to an entry-level job to a mid-level multiple six figures role where I wasn't the highest on the org chart, but I was able to sit in rooms with CEOs, CFOs, and CMOs without a fancy title. As a mom of 4, a wife, and the eldest daughter of 6, I know what it means to lead in every aspect of your life and to be able to translate that into the workplace. Welcome to the Leadership Beyond the Title podcast. So glad to have you here. Now let's get into it. Hey everyone, welcome back to Leadership Beyond the Title podcast. In today's episode, I want to talk about how to start a new job or a new role or joining a new team on the right foot so that you can lead, you can connect, and you can grow without burning out or fading into the background. I want to share with you what I think are the best strategies based on my observations with teams, but also my own experiences and my clients' experiences as well. What I see is that there is something to be said that when you are joining a new job, a role, an industry, or a team, that you are leading what that looks like. And later on, you are not casting blame on the people around you for not giving you what you want. And instead, you are taking the lead on what that looks like. So let's get into it. So as you know, I have been laid off twice. And in between that, I went from an admin to a director. And every time when I moved to the next thing, I mentally had to prepare myself. As y'all know, your girl is the ultimate introvert, and I'm not the girl that is going to go out there on a limb in these streets making new friends. That's just not my vibe. It's not because I'm not open to it, but because what the hell do I say? It is so awkward as hell for me to start to have small talk. So I won't just get out there and talk. I'm reminded this past weekend, I went to DC for my coach's live event, D.L. Sharon. She had a live event and I attached myself to people that I already knew. And I realized I really didn't get out there and talk to other people that I didn't know, right? Because I'm just such an introvert. And so it was good for me to kind of attach myself to the extroverted people because they're going to invite people to come to lunch with us, to hang out at dinner and things like that. And I won't necessarily have to do it on my own. So that was just a beautiful thing to do. And it was just amazing. But it goes back to this thing of I'm such an introvert that going out there, meeting new people and just having small talk is something that is extremely hard for me. But when it comes to work, I have to push myself out of my comfort zone because I want these coins and the opportunity and the exposure. And so I have learned to prepare myself because hoping and praying that someone notices me is not actually going to cut it. So this is why I have created a way that takes into account who I am as an introvert, but also that makes it so freaking simple to go out there and just put yourself into a new situation, knowing that you are fully responsible for the trajectory of those relationships and your career. And so what I'm going to walk you through is super easy, simple, and straightforward. It just is. So here we go. The first thing you are going to do is you are going to set your intention. This right here is super important because this is what I see, especially when someone starts a new job in a new company, is that you get the job and you just wait for how they're going to direct you. You know what I mean? Like, you wait for them to tell you what the career path is. You wait for them to tell you how to engage with members on the team, and you just go with it. But real leadership is all about you making the decision for how you want to be in relationship and how you want to be with the other people around you, and communicating that up front. No one should be putting everything on you and you just roll with it. That ain't how leaders do. So you have to be clear about what your intention is and what do you want to get out of this new job or role? What skills do you need to develop? What connections do you want to make? You have full control over this. And so you need to set your intention on what that's going to look like. And you're thinking about the skills, the connections, how you want to be developed, what your career looks like, what's the next step, things like that. Like, be intentional about what you want out of this job. The second thing you need to do is build a strategy for your relationships, or in other words, your network. I am going to repeat this until I am blue in the face. Stop waiting to build those relationships that you are going to need until you really need them. Like at a layoff or when you are looking for a new gig or a new job, something like that. It's not that you can't build those relationships last minute or when you actually need it, but when you are nurturing those relationships, you are preparing yourself. You're preparing your network. Your network is primed about who you are and what you would be good at and what you're interested in. And you don't have to worry when you have to reach out when one of these events happen, like a layoff or you need a new job or you're making an exit, because your network, those relationships already know so much about you. So you create a strategy about how you are going to do that on day one. You want to learn about their job and understand their work. And the thing that I recently told my client to do is to ask for permission to ask a lot of questions. This is so you are kind of making it clear that your goal is to learn, and it also becomes a way to connect. Let me tell you how I used to build relationships. I would literally find out how I could volunteer for teams that the senior leaders thought were important. Y'all, I remember joining the fun team. Yes, y'all, the fun team. F-U-N, the fun team. And a few of us would get together and plan events and ways that we could bring the employees on the team together. And that's all we did all the time. I know you're probably thinking, TaSheena, that's not serious. That's so insignificant. That don't even make sense to join a team like that. But what I want you to know is that it really helps to build the culture and the morale, and it ultimately retained the employees. This fun team, it did all of that. And we know how important culture is for an organization, right? And by doing this, I was able to build the relationships that I needed. And I didn't have to do that outside of the workday, outside of the 9 to 5, unless I really wanted to. And I'm building the trust with those people so that they remember me when opportunities come across their desk. I mean, just think about it. Like, if I'm doing this work on a fun team, there's some project management I'm doing. There's probably some facilitation. There's probably some, order management. There's all these like skills that I'm using. So if someone on this fun team sees what I can do, if an opportunity comes across their desk, they're going to be like, boom, TaSheena, she got it. she could do this. She did so wonderful on that last event that we had, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to reach out to her. Or I am going to tell this person about TaSheena because she's amazing. You want your network to work for you and to be doing these things like that. But it's not going to happen if you aren't nurturing them. And it's harder or slower if you wait till the last minute when you really need them to be able to do it. Okay. So you want on day one to know what your strategy is. And the other thing is like, you're going to have to find out like who the senior leaders are and what they are most excited about, what keeps them up at night, things like that. And so go for it. Like, the way that you can do that is build the relationship with your peers, talk to the administrative assistant. I tell people all the time. And this is because I know, because I was an administrative assistant, they hold the keys to the palace. I mean, literally, they know everything that's going on, what makes somebody tick, what the calendar is looking like, all of that. So make friends with your administrative assistant on day one. That should be part of your relationship strategy for sure. Build a relationship with your administrative assistant. All right. Now let's talk a moment about boundaries, because boundaries is critical when you are starting a new job. First, I want to remind you that boundaries set the standard for the actions that you are going to take if someone does something that you don't like or that is unacceptable to you. But boundaries need to be communicated, because the worst thing that you can do is want to tell somebody what they need to do or how they need to behave or act, because we all know ain't nobody taking you need to do this, you need to do that. Like, what? Who are you? Right? So those boundaries are for yourself. One of the things that I see when people start a new job is that they say yes to everything. And they're saying yes to everything because there's a part of them that is trying to get validation, or they're trying to prove themselves or, to other people that they're the right person for the job. And so they say yes to everything. And then over time, people depend on you for that particular thing, even though it's outside of your job description, even though it's taking up more time in the day, even though it's taking you away from your family members, even though you're kind of half-assed doing it. You become the go-to because you didn't set the boundaries, because you were saying yes to everything. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't take on things to learn, to develop, to grow, to get exposure, but don't be nobody's like walking mat. Don't be nobody's punching bag. You have to have some level of boundary when you're first starting, and you don't need to say yes to everything at all. This boundary is going to be so good for you, because if you find yourself saying yes to everything, I want you to know you are doing things from a place of scarcity and not abundance. All right? Doing things from a place of scarcity, not abundance, when you're just saying yes to everything. Because I want you to think about it. A boundary is going to give you, or it's going to allow you, the freedom of more abundance in your life. But if you are at the whim of everybody, then you are coming from a scarce mindset, and that is not going to get you to the place you want to go or allow you to be successful as a leader, because now there's more pressure on your time and your energy, that now you have all this other stuff to do and you can't go back and you've lost your intention. So set the boundary, sis. Set it. You need to know that what you will and will not allow, and you put that in place for yourself. Now listen, you are going to make mistakes. You won't get everything right, and you will question yourself all the time. Like, am I doing the right thing? Am I doing too much? Am I going too far? You're going to question yourself, and that's okay. That's natural. That is fine. Especially when you're starting a new job, you're trying to learn the culture. You don't know what makes a person tick. You don't know all of these things. That's why the relationship strategy is so important. That's why the boundaries are so important. That's why knowing what your intention is so important. When you know your intention, You can create solutions from that place and you can say, this is how I'm going to do it. It's like when you create a money goal, or you create a time goal, or you create a goal to go back to school. Whatever your goals are, when you set that intention, then you figure out a way to get it done. You want to do the same thing when you start a new job. Ultimately, everybody is trying to go to the next level, or they're trying to be exposed into another opportunity, or they're trying to have something happen in their visibility, or they're, just being able to have that at work. And so being intentional is important. When we're running unconsciously, people shit on our time. People walk all over us. People tell us how things are going to happen. People tell us no, and we don't question it. All of these things happen. Okay. So you definitely want to put these things into place when you are starting a new job. Okay. And when you make mistakes, it's okay. Go take a moment to yourself, reflect, and give yourself grace, because you are growing as a leader, and there is nothing more exciting than getting a new opportunity. But like the saying goes, are you living or are you existing? We want to live into our dreams, into our desires, into our goals. And it will be nearly impossible to do it fully if you don't prepare yourself. You should not be walking into a job, a brand new role, a brand new opportunity, not being mentally prepared. I told you at the beginning of this episode that as an introvert, I have to mentally prepare, y'all. And I'm not kidding with you. I literally have to mentally prepare. When I went to Washington, D.C. last weekend, before I left and on my way on the airplane, I was mentally preparing myself for the amount of energy that I was going to have to exert over the span of 3 or 4 days. I just had to, right? And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. It is a good thing because it helps me get grounded. It helps me level set where I am. And it helps me to really be clear about what I want out of something, out of a relationship, and go forward to doing it. Okay. So set your intention, build those relationships, and create your boundaries. This is how you walk into a new job opportunity, a new role, a new whatever it is. Okay. This is simple. You can do this. I believe in you. So I hope this episode was giving you some good nuggets of when you're starting something new and just how critical it is to be focused, to be grounded, and to be intentional. I will talk to y'all next week. Talk to you soon. Bye. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Leadership Beyond the Title podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, hit like, follow, and leave a comment. Share with your friends, family members, and other women of color leaders. Inside my one-on-one leadership coaching program, I will help you become the leader that you want to be with work-life integration and peace. By tapping into networks, growing your visibility and confidence, you will go from untapped, unseen, and underrepresented to attracting opportunities to take your career and your life to the next level. I use an equity-centered lens in my approach so that you feel seen, safe, empowered, excited, and committed to attract, create, and land opportunities in an unconventional way. To work with me, join my email newsletter, or to learn more about me, click the links in the show notes. Thank you for listening, and I look forward to being your coach. See you next week.